Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper and on this channel here we are talking about skincare and therefore we are not hiding behind any sort of a filter. So when you are looking at my skin, then it should really look the same as if you just saw me on the high street. Apart from here we have a bit of artificial light, and on the high street there should be some sort of a sunlight if it's in the daytime, of course. So the point is that I think when you're talking about skincare, you shouldn't really hide behind any sort of a filter. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a product from CeraVe, and that is a new product, relatively new, and it is a face wash, and they say that it is a sort of an oil cleanser. It is a hydrating foaming oil cleanser. So one might think that it's really sort of oily on the skin, and it leaves your skin really oily, but I think that when you are trying it on the skin, it feels actually relatively nice, but it feels like you're having a little bit of some sort of oily stuff going on. But if you're looking at my skin today, I used a little bit of some mineral oil before I used this cleanser here, because I tried this one here today, and I have tried it some other times as well. So I thought I would try it with a little bit of some mineral oil to see if it made a sort of a difference, because they actually say here that this product here is for very dry skin, so normal to very dry skin. And we have looked at some other products from CeraVe, and there is this hydrating cleanser, which is for normal to dry skin, so not to very dry skin. And then there is this one here, the hydrating cream-to-foam cleanser, and that is for normal to dry skin as well. So this one here is for very dry skin, or to very dry skin, for normal to very dry skin. And you would expect it to be rather oily or leave a sort of a coat on your skin afterwards, just like if you're using the hydrating cleanser. I find that it leaves a sort of a coat or some sort of a waxy substance on your skin afterwards, and that is because it contains ceramides. It contains 3 different ceramides, and all these products here, they contain ceramides. So in that way they are very much similar, but they do not act similar on the skin, or they don't act like each other on the skin. So if you, for example, are looking at this one here, then we have spoken about this one here before, but something I did not mention, and that is because they are not making a lot of fuss about it, so they don't mention it on the front, is that it actually contains salicylic acid. So you might think, oh, that's really great, but as such I don't find that you should use a lot of salicylic acid on your skin. But if you're using it on something that you are washing off, maybe it's not that bad, but certainly I would not have it in a cream that is lingering on your skin. So just a little thing, if you would like to avoid salicylic acid, then this one here you should not use, because it says in the ingredients list that it contains salicylic acid, but when you're just looking at the front, it doesn't really shout anything about that. So coming back to this one here, the hydrating foaming oil cleanser, then I thought maybe it was for very oily skin, but actually it turns out that what they mean is that it is a sort of an oily sort of a product, and it contains something like a squalane, which actually works a little bit like a moisture barrier, and it feels a little bit greasy, or a light greasiness on the skin. And also there are some other things in here. There are cholesterol. There's cholesterol in this one here as well, and together with the ceramides, that is something that is helping with the moisture barrier. And I find that the best thing to compare, I mean, this one here, you can't really compare these two here, but I think it's more relevant to compare these ones here, because I think that this one here leaves a nice coat on the skin, and I thought that this one here would do that as well. But it turns out that when you're using it, then it actually leaves your skin maybe not squeaky clean, because you don't want something that is leaving your skin squeaky clean. That's not a good sign. But it does leave the skin feeling cleaned. So where you have this one here, it sort of leaves these ceramides on the skin, but though this one here contains ceramides as well, the same ceramides, then it does not leave that sort of a coat on your skin, or not in my experience. It might be that actually CeraVe, they think that this will leave a little bit of something on your skin, because they say that this product here will keep your skin hydrated for 24 hours or up to 24 hours. But at the same time, they say that you should actually use a cream on top, also from CeraVe, funnily enough, and that should lock in moisture as well. So I thought when you are using something like this, which contains some surfactants that are usually said to be very mild, then I wouldn't expect it to leave my skin like sort of that I'm starting to thinking about squeaky cleanliness or cleansing or stuff like that. And I felt that if I just use it on my skin the other day, I didn't use the mineral oil as I did today. So when I did not use the mineral oil, then it felt really it felt like my skin was being very tight after I used this one here. And that's why I went in and used a bit of mineral oil before I used this one here today, to see if it made a sort of a difference. And yes, it did make a little bit of a difference, but I wouldn't say that it caused any sort of a huge difference. So when you're looking at my skin today, it might be a little bit more shiny than normal, but also that is because I did not put any sort of a powder on top of my creams and lotions and potions today. I don't have any sort of a silica or setting powder or anything on my skin. So this is basically how my skin would look just before I go to bed. So I washed my face earlier today using this one here to take away sunscreen, and I used a little bit of mineral oil in order to dissolve that first, but I don't normally do that. I just go in with something like this, and then I take that away. And I think if you are using something like this and it says it is for very dry skin, I think you should be prepared to having your skin feeling really, really tight after you have used it. Not like, okay, it's overwhelmingly tight, but just for my skin, I would say that my moisture barrier is working, I think, really, really well. I don't have any sort of problems with breakouts or dry patches and all that sort of thing. So all over my skin is actually working pretty well. So when I went in and used something like this that is for very dry skin, I thought that it was a bit strange that actually it leaves my skin feeling like there is absolutely nothing on my skin. And after a little while, I just deliberately just left it without putting any sort of a cream on top, just for a little while, and then to see if it's sort of my skin sort of bounced back and became less tight, but it just continued to be tight. And then I put on a bit of a cream, and then obviously my skin was back to normal. But I would say, is this something I'm going to use again and again and again? I think a product like this promises something that I feel is not maybe entirely correct, though they do say that you shouldn't use a lot of this product here. They actually say that you should only use a pea-size amount, and that is not a lot. So a pea-size amount, that is definitely not a full pump of these ones here. So in that sense, they say that a little goes a long way. I would say I used one pump, and that is maybe a little bit more than they say you should use, but that is usually what I would use if I was using something like this, or when I tried this one here. But apparently they say that a little goes a long way. I just think that if I just used a pea-size amount of this stuff here, I don't think really I would have taken my sunscreen properly off, and that would obviously be not so good. So I think that if you're using something like this where they say it is for a very dry skin, I think you should be prepared to having a really tight feeling on your skin. And definitely I just, when they have this product here and then they make this product here, why don't they say that this one here is for very dry skin? Definitely, if I had a very dry skin, I would use this one here. I would never dream of using this one here, apart from when I read on the front, I might test it and see, oh yes, it must be for me. But I think that if you have a very dry skin and you try this one here and then you try this one here, I think that definitely you would go for this one here. So I think that is what is best for dry skin. So yes, I used the mineral oil in order to dissolve the sunscreen, and then I used this one here, but still my face felt very tight afterwards. So yes, I would say that if you are looking to try this one here and you have very dry skin, think twice and maybe try this one here instead. And definitely I think you should not use this one here, because it will dry your skin out even more than any of these two here. So yes, my verdict on all these three ones here is that basically I would say regardless of what sort of a skin type you have, you should go for this one here, because if you have a very oily skin, then you need to calm down your skin and not dry it out more. And if you have a very dry skin, well, you should also use something like this, which will leave a sort of a coat on your skin of these ceramides and cholesterol and what else there is in the product. Definitely I would say that this is the one to go for if you are having a very dry skin, and not this one here. So yes, that was my verdict. I'm not going to buy it again. So yes, if you'd like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and do all the things you must do in order to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.